Brahma Gurur Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Chinmayam Yapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Atpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So what mantra are we on?
We're on number 8. We got partway through it. So we're starting with unpierced
So
by evil.
Let's read the English again one more time.
He, the Atman, is all-pervading, bright, bodiless, scatheless, without muscles, pure, unpierced by evils, wise, omniscient, transcendent, and self-existing. He alone allotted respective functions, duties to the various eternal creators.
So how far did we get last week? Does anyone remember?
We're starting on unpierced by evils.
Okay, so the idea here is that negative things and positive things actually only touch the equipment. My body experiences broken toes. My mind can react to situations. My intellect can have negative thoughts, but none of it touches me. And again, always with these mantras, a practice is implied. So in our meditation seat, we do our subject-object discrimination till I can be clear I am that witness that's never touched. And then as I go through the world, if my mind reacts to something, to whom did this reaction occur? To me. Who am I? Turn the attentive faculty within. Go looking for this apparent jiva, and it falls. And I see, even though the mind is reacting, I am not touched by it. Next idea.
Wise.
Wise. So actually, we can't say the self is wise the way we think of it in worldly terms. But what is wisdom? Wisdom isn't that I have the right answer to all the problems. Real wisdom, nothing touches me. And nothing touches the self. Real wisdom is to know who I am. what self is, why who self-evident. Self is always knowing itself as the self. That's ultimate wisdom. Next idea.
Omniscient.
Yes. So this doesn't mean, oh, I'm a realized person. I know everything. I can speak Swahili and I can speak ancient Egyptian. No, it doesn't mean that. Whenever anything is known, who knows it? The self is the knower in all fields of knowledge. It is that by which everything is known, without which nothing can be known. Next idea.
Transcendent.
Yeah. So whatever the opinions, the theories, the philosophies that you or I may have, whatever political ideas, whatever tragedies or joys that go on in the world, none of it touches the self. Another realm, another dimension than this. Next idea.
Self-existing.
Yes. So this is one of the most difficult things to understand. Here is a secret. We're actually dealing with two kinds of knowledge. The first knowledge is perfect. By what instrument is the self known? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, or smell, emote, or think yourself. Yet I know I am. The self is its own means of knowledge. Knower, knowing, and known are merged in me. But the great cosmic joke is everybody already has it. The great early 20th century saint, Meher Baba, used to say, everybody's already realized. That's the only real knowledge. But this is a big but. Both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. What is my bondage? The deeply rooted conviction that I am my body, I am bound. What is liberation? The deeply rooted conviction in the intellect, based on direct experience. Oh, not that I'm a realized person, but I am Brahman. And neither of those states touches the self. So in the end, both bondage and liberation occur in Maya. Where are I am free. Next idea.
He alone allotted respective functions, duties to the various eternal creators.
So here we mean the sense organs, the eternal creators. You can look at it from a cosmic way too. But what we have is what Swamiji used to call the relationless relationship. Consciousness is the life principle that enlivens the body, mind, intellect. I like to use the example, consciousness is like electricity. It is not a light bulb. It is not a fan. It is not a stereo. Without electricity, the bulb cannot shine, the fan cannot move, the stereo cannot sing. But when electricity has electric contact with the bulb, it shines. The fan moves, the stereo sings. So also the phenomena of this world, the senses themselves are jada, inert. But conscious not only illumines them, but enlivens them. So the nose can smell, the feet can run, the ears can hear. Next idea.
That's the end of our verse.
Okay, next verse. Next mantra.
Andatam pravishanti ye vidya mupasate tato bhuya ivate tamoya u vidyayagar garatam. They who worship avidya alone fall into blinding darkness, and they who worship vidya alone fall as though into even a greater darkness.
So, those who worship avidya, here, meaning the world of ignorance, fall into a blinding darkness. I think the material world is real. And I worship people, places, things, and conditions. As we said in a prior mantra, this causes us to develop vasana, which further covers our self-apprehension and sends us into the world of becoming samsara. So then the mantra says, those who worship vidya, knowledge, fall into an even greater darkness. Oh my God, this is terrible. No. Here, playing with language, the Rishi is saying the self is unknowable by the mind. We have to practice not ignorance, but agnorance, agnosia in the Greek. Unknowing. So in Gita, the second chapter, Krishna will say, he who knows, I have it all figured out. I've got this particular theory, blah, 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 blah. Knows it not. She who knows it not, knows it. So when the mind becomes stupefied, struck dumb, absolute silence, so this greater darkness filled with being. Purnam as our Shanti mantra. So if you're caught up in arguing philosophy with someone, that's darkness. So when Swamiji as a teenager went to see Ramana Maharshi, he was an atheist. He thought he knew there was no God. He tells the story there was no room for him to sit in the back. So he had to move up to the front. Bhagawan was lying there on his couch. You've seen the couch there, haven't you? Still have the satsang hall. Bhagawan opened his eyes, looked directly at Balan. Never said a word. Closed his eyes. There's no knowing of any thoughts. Now at that time, Balan did not know. He said, oh, he hypnotized me. Ramana Maharshi de-hypnotized him. Next verse. Next mantra.
Anya devahu vidhyayan yadahura vidhyaya iti shushrum adhiranam yenasta dvicha chakshire. One thing they say is verily obtained from Vidya, another thing they say from Avidya. Thus we have heard from the wise who explained that to us.
So, what do I obtain from avidya, from the world of ignorance? Only that which is temporary. Artha, wealth. Wealth is always temporary. Now, the scriptures do not say the world is evil, the world is bad, leave the world, go live in a cave in the mountains. You can do that. That's your karma, you can do that. But the world is not bad. The person of wisdom sees the world for what it is, which is essentially shunyata. It's neutral. It's void. It has no inherent joy-giving or misery-producing qualities. I superimpose that on the world. The world's just a light show. Kamarupa is all it is. The Lord's Maya Shakti. So the person of steady wisdom no longer gets engaged, involved, pulled around. Again, Gita says, person of steady wisdom, their mind is steady by what has been seen or not seen, by what has been heard or not heard. They have sama Krishna, equality of vision. Sarvamaya, Sarvamana, all Maya, it's all this. So the man of ignorance pursues the things of this world. As I like to say, 95 cents worth of work or a nickel's worth of pleasure. And it slips through my fingers and I do it all over again. The woman of wisdom casts off. Sangoham, 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 Pura, Pura. Unattached, unattached, unattached by again. Sachidananda Rupam. I am of the form of existence, consciousness, and bliss absolute. Aham meva aham. I am that I am. You don't change. So the person of steady wisdom knows two important things. I is always safe. I do not need to be protected, secured, defended. And I know where happiness is. Happiness is the mind having come home, so, which is accomplished through mature Vairagya. Avidya. Kata, or death says, two paths approach a person. Shreyas, preyas, preyas. What's enjoyable. Gimme, 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 gimme. Shreyas, the good turn. Any thoughts on this? What should I do, Jim? Don't worry about it. Have no relationship or concern for the body. It will fulfill its function in the world based on the force of the paths and the desires of other people. It'll get its allotted dose of joys and sorrows, pleasures and pains, successes and failures. Think of it like your shadow or like a reflection. Next mantra.
Vidyam cha vidyam Jayasta Dvedu Bhayakas Saha Avidyaya Mrityum Tirtva Vidyaya Amritam Shratat Amritam Asnatu. He who knows at the same time both avidya and vidya overcomes death by avidya and obtains immortality by vidya.
Yes. So, the way again Krishna talks about it in Gita, he says this knowledge gives you mastery over this world and beyond. So, if I know the world of avidya, ignorance, I see it for what it is. The paradox is, through detachment, through the renunciation of ego-driven issues, at the level of the personality, I'm more effective in the movement. I was talking with a person who had had some difficulties with a boss, supervisor, and was hurt and reacted, felt that the boss was wrong, treating them unfairly, fearful. Now, the world and its people are oftentimes quite moral, at least according to my perception. But if I'm disturbed, no matter the cause, I'm the one with the klesha, the affliction. I'm the one with the dosha, the defect of character, attachment, expectation, control issue, identification. I'm not getting what I want. I'm feeling like I'm being attacked. So, for the person who knows the world of vidya, can let go of all that kind of stuff. And then we can have real communication with people. We can intuitively and spontaneously communicate and respond to situations rather than react. And if we're not running egoistic agenda, the world starts to show up differently. True story. So going back 47 years when I was in the ashram, I was downstairs in the kitchen at the table, all tuned up in meditation with my coffee. Another member of the household came down and they were all agitated. We're going to fix their breakfast. So they went to the refrigerator and they got this, and then they got the cereal, and they went back to the refrigerator and got that, and then they went back to the refrigerator and got this. And then another person in the house came down. Their mind was very quiet. I went to the refrigerator. And you open, close the refrigerator. So simple and so practical. The first person's mind was all distracted. So their activity was all distracted. There was unnecessary effort. Second person was more quiet. They saw, they acted. If we know the world of avidya, we know some of the basic metaphysical laws of this world. Primary one to know, karma. I always think of karma. Now, ideas of good karma, bad karma are our superimpositions. Karma is just a law. The energy, the actions, the mental energy you put out returns. It's like if you have a large tub of water and you drop a pebble into it, the ripples go. Energy goes out. Understanding that will change how we act in the world. There's no God out there that's going to punish us if we lie, cheat, and steal. You're not going to go to hell or purgatory. But if you lie, cheat, and steal, you will be lied to, cheated, and stolen from. You choose. You choose. If your overall mental thought atmosphere is a particular way, remember, what is this world? How has it come about? Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, it's all consciousness, it's all God. How has it come about? Sankalpena, by means of Sankalpa. And we as individuals, to a limited degree, but far more than we think, create our experience of the world through our habituated, largely unconscious thinking, believing, intention. So if you come to Upanishad class on Saturday morning, I believe in all this. And then you go home and, oh, they're so mean, they're so bad, oh, they're evil. Rah, 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 rah. I've got to fight. You got the world's a terrible place. It's dangerous out there. Blah, 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 blah. And this is what your mind does. How could he have done that? He was so mean to me. I've been abused. I'm traumatized. I'm a victim. And I think about that and I dwell on that. Be surprised if your world shows up as a reflection of that. Nobody else did it. If, on the other hand, You have the deep intuitive sense. I live, move, and have my being and feel. It's a beneficent universe that conspires for our well-being if we let it. It's all God. It's all grace. And all of a sudden, for you, the world looks very different than it may for the next person. And I love to read about stories like, again, Ramana Maharshi, who so clearly saw everything as himself. That animals, wild animals, would come to be in his presence. They had no fear of him, they had love for him. So, this is an understanding of the world of or if we have a loved one who is basically saying, I'm a victim of circumstances, they are doing it to me. May not be able to say anything. But we know what's going on. In Gita, Krishna says, we never unsettle the minds of the ignorant with knowledge. We do, we just simply consign them to a hell. We meet people where they are. We intuitively. But for the woman or the man of knowledge, with beauty, first of all, I know Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. This world is nothing but Brahman. I am birthless, changeless, death. Now, some of us may in our meditation have had these glimpses into the infinite. I know I am that heartless Brahman. But the world is still problematic for me. I react to it. I get upset. We might even come into a state where, oh, this awful world, it's all filled with suffering. I can't wait until I die and I never have to come back again. That's not freedom. It's not freedom at all. So we have to make sure we see the self in and through all the experiences of the world. This is the annihilation of the vasanas here and now. Any thoughts on this? All right, next month. Which one are we on? What number?
Mantra 12. Andham tama pravishanti ye sambhuti mupasate tato bhuya iva te tamo ya u sambhutya kamrataha. They fall into blinding darkness who worship the unmanifest Prakriti, but those who devote themselves to the manifest Hiranyagarbha fall as though into greater darkness.
So the first idea, repeat it again.
They fall into blinding darkness who worship the unmanifest Prakriti.
So, what is the unmanifest here? Prakriti, nature. It is the stuff of which creation is made. Lots of layers of understanding. So again, this idea, this phenomenal world are the various manifestations of mind, the macrocosmic sense. Again, like to go back to the dream state. You are the God of your dream. If you understand the dream, you understand macrocosmically how this world comes about. In the dream, the stuff of your individual mind manifests as an individual body, which is a locus of perception. You have an ego identified with it. You see a world of name and form outside, thoughts and feelings inside. And if you are identified as the dreamer, you fall into the blinding darkness of the dream. So also, all this comes about in the same Prakriti, the stuff, Maya, the stuff of macrocosmic mind, Chaitanya, manifests as all the various beings and things, comes about in exactly the same way. And if I'm caught up in ignorance and I take the world as real, I'm caught up into it. And I fall into it. I'm caught up in becoming. I'm caught up into fixing, into controlling, which again further solidifies more vasana than the rat race of samsara. It's on and on and on. And it's not evil. It's the way the Lord keeps the world going. And even though the self is the most evident thing in the world, it's apparently veiled from my direct apprehension. Second part of this one.
But those who devote themselves to the manifest Hiranyagarbha fall as though into greater darkness.
Yeah. So if you take the world is. I think the idea is in the first half, if you see it for what it is, you see that it's like a dream. You have the darkness of the self. Second half, the greater darkness, caught up in the manifestation. The basic import of this part of the Upanishad is to see the world for what it is. Seen but not real. Appearing to be there. But just the play of consciousness. It's all Brahman. It's all Brahman. And if I forget that, then I get caught up in even greater darkness of ignorance. All right, next one.
Anyadevahu sambhavat, anyadahura sambhavat, iti shrutam dhiranam, yenasta dvijja chakshire. One thing they say is verily obtained from the worship of the manifest. Another thing they say from the worship of the unmanifest. Thus we have heard from the wise who have explained that to us.
So when we talk about the unmanifest, we have to understand that we can look at it from various levels. Sometimes the scripture is referring to Prakriti, the very stuff out of which the world is made. But then again in Gita, Krishna will say, but I have a higher unmanifest, meaning the self itself is never manifest. It's not a thing seen. Now, what this mantra is implying is the basic fundamental teaching about what is happiness, what is pleasure. Because when we talk about worship, you've heard me do this many, many times. If you take the word God, G-O-D, and let's pull it apart, take another O and go G-O-O-D, my good. My good is my God. I may go to church on Sunday. I may go to the temple and do puja. I may have a statue of Ganesh. But if all my energy is into making money, finding a significant other, wanting children, getting a raise or an advancement, or we can even look at it as the avoidance. What do I worship? I worship not getting upset, not being around other people, not having to get a job. Good is my God. And that's what I worship. Where my heart is, what I think of as my treasure, it's my God. So in the Hebrew scripture, the Lord is supposed to have said to Moses, I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. It does not mean that God's a little neurotic. No God who said, you're to worship me. What? Thunderbolts. No such God. It means when I have another God, it doesn't mean a little statue of Baal or Mot or something like that, or Marduk. It means I place something else as most important. That becomes my God. Let me give you a very real example. In AA, frequently we have this struggle that I see newcomers deal with. I don't believe in God. I'm not going to turn my will and my life over to care of something that doesn't exist. And then old timers will say, well, you turned your will and your life over to booze. That was your God. You did everything to be able to get cocaine. You did everything. Sold your own body so you could get smack. So people don't see the cognitive dissonance. So those things become our God. That's what we worship. Whether we call it that. Now, what happens? We need to understand the mechanics of happiness. The first thing we have to understand is, what is it that has joy, that has happiness as its dharma? Dharma, what is the nature of a thing, the essence of a thing without which it would not be the thing that it is? It's the dharma of water to be wet. Everybody experiences wetness in water. It's the dharma of sugar to be sweet. Everybody experiences sweetness and sugar. It's the dharma of fire to burn. Everybody experiences burning in fire. But we do not get happiness, joy, satisfaction from the same objects. It differs from person to person. To start asking your friends questions. I was talking with this person. Oh, I don't date anybody who's under 6 feet. Kind of weird, but okay. Yes, happiness for them. Food, all sorts of different food. So if all the objects are diverse, then where's the happiness? But then if you ask people who experiences joy or happiness when you get what you want, everybody's hand goes up. So what is happening? Why do I want what I want? Why do I imbue that object with joy-giving properties? And it comes from the force of the past. I've danced with an object, a person, place, thing, or situation, and it momentarily stopped my mind. What do I mean by that? It ceased the low-level discontent, craving, etc. restlessness. Oh, that was pretty cool. That's a kiss of my own self-nature. But in ignorance, I do not know that's what it is. And I associate it with the person, place, thing, or situation. That leaves an impression. And at a future time, I want to repeat it. The more I repeat it, the deeper that groove gets. So I create what appears to be a world with joy-giving properties. All that ever happens, mind goes out, Vikshepa Shakti. I want. I get what I want. Wanting goes away. But then another desire immediately arises. And I'm caught up in that chain. What Vedanta says is what's really true is you are the fountainhead, the source, the wellspring of the joy. And it's possible to let go of the world absolutely. And the mind comes from. This is worship. Those of us who studied Narada Bhakti Sutra, that text calls it Adama Prema, the supreme love of the infinite. Is not my worship of a God out there. It's the capacity to revel in the sound. But the paradox is, so powerful is Maya, but it can take us lifetimes. I don't even know this, but to retire into this. St. Augustine said, Thou hast made us for thyself, O, and our heart is restless till it finds its rest in thee. So, this self-revelry goes by many names, Atmaramana, Samadhi. How is it achieved? Abhyasa, Vairagyacha, practice. But don't forget, it's mature dispassion, mature renunciation. I love to go back to Shankara's definition of shama. That peaceful state of mind when it rests, steady contemplation of the goal. After having muhur again and again, detached itself, chaos of the sense objects. How? Through a steady observation. What do I mean by the defects? And the world isn't bad. I superimpose unrealistic values. I went to the symphony with a friend last weekend. San Francisco Symphony Youth Orchestra. They're so good. First piece they played was orchestral dances from West Side Story. Who here's seen West Side Story? Yeah. And you know, the story's based on Romeo and Juliet. And it's an absolute paean to young romantic love. It's incredible intensity. Young people fall. But if you talk with people who are in relationship, it's hard work, and it's about compromise, and it's about acceptance, and it's about letting go of control. People have been married for a long time. Is that what a lot of it's about? Am I wrong? It's not like 14 or 15. I remember talking to this one person. She said, I know I'm in love because it hurts so bad. It's not that. So to see the inherent defects of the world is to eventually come to terms with what can the world deliver. Another friend that a few months ago bought a brand new car right off the dealership. Oh, my new car, my new car, my new car. And then he gets in an accident, gets rear-ended. Hadn't even started repair work. Gone. And the guy who hit him was underinsured. Looks like it's going to cost him about $6,000 out of pocket to get his damn car fixed. It's this world. You're both homeowners. Roof leaks. Repair this. Fix that. Isn't that what a lot of homeownership is about?
Yes.
Especially if it's an older. That's this world. It's this world. It's not bad. It's just don't see it unrealistically. Don't have an expectation of this world. It's incapable of giving. You all remember the cartoons of Peanuts where Lucy and the football? Charlie Brown every year. Lucy's going to hold the football, and Charlie Brown's going to come and kick the football. And what does Lucy do every year? Kick the ball away. Smash! Every year. Lucy said, oh, I'm not going to move the football. Charlie Brown believes her. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That peaceful state of mind when it rests in steady contemplation of the goal after having again and again detached itself from the chaos of the sense objects to a steady observation. So I quit expecting from the world. Just can't give. Trinkets and baubles. Yoga Vasishta says, person is digging in the ground and finds the chintamani, the wish-fulfilling gem, but discards it and then finds pieces of worthless glass, thinks that he's found treasure. What does it mean? You are the chintamani. This world, trinkets and baubles, pieces of colored glass. Pretty to look at, maybe. So the mantra here says, worship what's real. Let go of the world. Do not remember to soak the mind. Drown the mind. As frequently as you can, as deeply as you will. Okay, we'll stop here. What mantra are we on for next week? 13?
14.
14. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all.